The first one is called Pareto principle, meaning that am I actually working on the most important tasks? Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Nico Shandita. If you watch my previous video for the first version, which is the weekly planning, the first part of the weekly planning, you can actually watch it over here. Today I'm going to tell you about the continuation of that video. This is the second part of the weekly planning. On the second part, I'm going to talk about, I call this the weekly finances planning. So basically, I would look at in terms of my finances and try to do some cleanup from there. So there are a few steps to actually that I usually took for this. The first thing that I would do is to take screenshot in terms of my planned budget, and then recheck in terms of my expenses, like maybe perhaps too much eating out, and that itself will actually have some trigger in terms of I haven't been eating healthy, and I've been spending too much money in terms of eating at the restaurant. So it's always good to analyze in terms of your spending. That will give you insights from there. And then basically I would actually check in terms of the budget versus actual analysis. So this could be like a simple spreadsheet where you would actually outline what is your budget for each of the category and what is the actual for each of that, and then which one is actually going over budget. Next thing that I would do is to ask myself, all of my payments and spending are actually on track. They are actually bills to pay, and usually it's not like on a single date. So I would actually every week I will actually assess whether the previous week I have been paying all of my expenses in order to maintain my budget. And then the next question that I would ask myself is, what are the areas of my spending that can be optimized? So sometimes is that there are certain things that are not really optimized in terms of my spending, and then by asking yourself this question, I can actually assess perhaps there are things that I should be buying in bulk so that it's actually cheaper, or perhaps that I spend on a very lavish thing, for example staying at a 5-star hotel, but it's not really worth it in terms of the amount of money that I spend on that. So it's good to actually have this kind of awareness analysis, so that you don't go for lifestyle creep, meaning that if you have additional salary or income, your lifestyle is like your lifestyle basically rise. So there's this thing called lifestyle inflation, where you are actually spending more money than your previous spend, because your salary actually goes up, and that means is that you can actually save up money on that. So yes, there are certain things that they will be actually nicer to actually spend money on, but we just need to be mindful and ask ourselves whether it's actually worth it to pay the additional amount. The next question that I would ask myself is that, what are my contribution from financial perspective to my major project? Major project and strategy actually tightly linked in terms of finances. So basically there are certain things that are not really optimized in terms of my spending, and then by asking yourself this question, I can actually assess perhaps there are things that I should be previously spent because your salary actually goes up, and that means is that you can actually save up money on that. So yes, there are certain things that they will be actually nicer to actually spend money on, but we just need to be mindful. All right, so those are the section in terms of the weekly finances. The next section that I would do is called the reflection section, on which I would analyze in terms of how am I spending my time, and whether or not I'm actually aligning into some of my values. So what I would do is that I would actually open this software. It's called Rescue Time, And Rescue Time actually is an application that actually runs in the background that actually tracks in terms of what are the applications and websites that I actually visit and how much time do I actually spend on that. So what I'll do is that open it up and then basically analyze in terms of how many hours that I spend in a week, for example, browsing Facebook or YouTube. So that will actually give me insight in terms of whether or not I have been like doing like doom scrolling and spending too much time on social media, and whether or not I have been whether or not I have been like using my time in an effective manner. And basically I would actually optimize in terms of if there are actually periods of time where I spend too much time on an application or website which is not really useful. I would actually block some of those websites in order to actually focus more productively on other things. Alright, so the next thing that I would do is that I would actually assess in terms of the processes that I did last week and whether or not I can actually create like a proper process in the flowchart document so that it's actually repeatable. So that's actually part of the process optimization methodology. And by making it like centralized in like a document where it's like actually a flowchart, I'll be able to optimize that further and it will be like much more repeatable in comparison if I were to do it without the process document itself. Also in the future, if I were to delegate the process to another person, I'm actually able to do that basically. And basically the process that I actually document, it could be anything. It could be like a process, for example, cleaning the house, or it could be like a process in terms of how to do budgeting. So yeah, so that's like actually one of the key things. The next thing is actually in terms of focusing in terms of some of my core values and whether or not I've been spending time in terms of my core values. So there are actually several of my core values. The first one is called Pareto principle, meaning that am I actually working on the most important tasks? So I would ask myself that question every week, and whether or not that's actually aligned in terms of what I do. And then I would actually ask myself whether or not I've been focusing in terms of my health, because health is actually my second core values. And health actually consists of physical health, mental health, and also cleaning and also minimalism. So I think in terms of physical health, it consists of whether or not I've been working out at least 3 times in a week. And then basically in terms of mental health, I would ask myself whether I've been meditating at least 3 times a week. And then part of mental health as well, I would ask myself, did I have fun last week? Did I do activities that is actually energizing to my mental health? And in terms of cleaning, it's also very important. Did I actually clean up my space last week? And finally, minimalism is actually to reduce the clutter in life basically. So I would ask myself, did I simplify my space last week in order to have like a minimal space and uncluttered? My next core value is called awareness. So I would ask myself, did I write 5 times diary this week? Awareness is actually very important, and writing diary will actually translate in terms of whether or not how am I feeling in like a given day, and whether or not it gives me energy or not giving me energy. So it's actually a good thing to analyze in terms of yourself to writing the diary, and you gain in terms of what kind of decisions that you do good in a way. All right, the next thing that I do is another one of my core value. It's called synergy, and synergy is about teamwork. So I would ask myself a few questions in terms of teamwork. For example, did I do teamwork last week, or am I just focusing on a solo project? I would ask myself, did I humbly ask anyone for help last week? Remember that you can actually be successful just going like alone. It's always been a team effort thing. It's like standing on top of giants. So I think it's really crucial to actually develop a habit to ask help from other people. And then I would ask myself, did I do networking last week? So networking, I believe, is also an important aspect in life. And basically, by doing networking, I'll be able to learn from other people. My next core value is called execution. Execution is about working hard, basically. So I would ask myself, did I accomplish my goals last week? Did I being resourceful and shrewd last week? Those two questions actually will allow me to gain insight in terms of my execution ability. My next core value is called system. So I believe is that everything has to be systemized in order for it to be repeatable and being able to be executed better. A system could be process or automation. So I would ask myself, did I improve my system last week in order to find out whether or not I've been progressing on that front as well. I would also ask myself, what kind of decisions that I can cut down or delegate. I remember that one article previously is that some of the top executives actually have very little decisions to make, and a given day you're only about, if I'm not mistaken, you can only make around 2,000 or 3,000 decisions, and the amount of willpower to exert on a decision which is non-crucial, for example like choosing what clothes to choose, is the same amount of willpower if you were to actually to make like a very complicated government policy. So I try to trim down as little decisions as possible. Ideally those things which are not really crucial, such as choosing my clothes or what kind of food that I should be eating, I usually delegate all those decisions to other people, so that by the time I wake up in the morning, all my clothes has been packed up, all my food has been packed up, and then I do not need to make those decisions. And over time, I would actually trim that down more and more, and then that will free up my mental space to execute on extremely important decisions. So that's actually one of the methods that I did every week to analyze for that. The next thing that I would ask myself is about investment, and this is part of passive income assets that I want to actually develop. And passive income is actually those things that will actually grow in value while you're actually sleeping. So this could be anything. It could be getting like a house, or even like investment like a saving in the bank, or it could be like any non-traditional things, such as YouTube videos like the one that I'm creating right now, or even books or blogs or digital goods that are actually sold online. So I would ask myself in terms of what are the passive incomes that I created last week in order to actually progress on that. The more passive income that you would actually create, the more valuable you are, and it will actually grow over time. Yeah, those are the questions and the actions that I would ask myself as part of the reflection. There are still a few more sections, but I think I will continue that on the next part of the YouTube video. I hope that you enjoy this YouTube video, and if you really get value out of it, please consider to subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.